Call, please, Mr. Trankey.
Commissioner Ogden,
Here.
Commissioner French,
Here.
Commissioner Coffin,
Here.
Commissioner Chappell.
Present.
Chairman Powell, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Public comments? Would anybody like to address the Planning Commission at this point? Or we can wait until we bring up an item that you'd like to talk about. Either way. Item 3 is approval of the previous minutes from January 14th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I have a problem with the first thing on that. It said that I made the motion to approve the prior minutes and that I abstained from voting. I did make the motion, but I did not abstain. So I think the minutes need to be corrected.
We will make that correction. So the motion for the approval of the previous minutes will be with modification as noted.
Okay?
Thank you.
Based on that, I'd move approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Can we have a vote, please, Ms. Trankey?
Chappell,
Yes.
Coffin,
I wasn't here.
okay. French,
Yes?
Ogden,
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Okay, it's approved with those. One change.
Item 4 is discussion and possible action on application 2016-20113517 concerning a request to allow for construction of a single-car garage, which varies from existing design guidelines. We have a report, Ms. Dranke.
This application is for some infill housing. Mr. Clint Squires has made this application. The house will be built at 216 South Drexel. There should be in your package a picture of the house. The current design guidelines require each new residential structure to have off-street in a garage for two-car parking. But the intention of that was more for new construction, new subdivisions, or on infill housing that the size of the lot would support a two-car garage. So Mr. Squires is here asking for relief from the design guidelines to put in a 1.5-car garage. And he's here to answer any specific questions you might have.
Okay.
Any questions?
I do. And I did go by,
Do you mind coming up to the microphone, please?
I did go by and look at the lot today, and most of the homes on that street don't have garages as it is. The one concern that I did have, and I have noticed that there are a couple of one-car garages that have been built around town. Part of the other part of the design standards is that not only should it be a two-car garage, but that the garage doors must be recessed from the front plane of the primary facade, and if possible, not be visible from the street. My concern is, I've heard before that neighborhoods, by former planning commissioner, that neighborhoods should look like a place where people live and not cars. I just wonder if there was any possibility that the garage, I saw the picture, is there any possibility that the garage could be recessed a foot or two behind the front facade of the home so that the garage isn't the most prominent? Because if you look at the other architecture there on the street, all the other homes are front porches. Granted, they're not in great shape. But I just wondered if there was a possibility, because that wasn't a design guideline that you were requesting that we've changed, but it is a part of the city's design guidelines.
Well, I like that idea. It's just a matter of how far. 2 feet. You're mainly trying to change the roof line and give it a little bit of...
Personally, just as long as it's recessed, as long as it's not, I've seen some that are recessed 2 feet, and that makes a big difference in the appearance of the home, because then it looks like a bungalow with a little garage to the side instead of just being a garage that's the front facade of the home.
Right.
That wouldn't
So
have to change the roof line either.
It could be minimal.
Yeah.
Without changing the
Yeah,
roof
I
line.
don't mind that at all. I mean, that's.
Well, I wouldn't mind making a motion to approve with that.
I'd like to ask
Exception.
a little further. What is the lot size, sir?
50 wide by 140, which is standard for that, I mean, that whole area. I'm mainly focused on east of Division and south of Noble. And I built several houses into the picture of the house that you have there is one that's in that same area. And I'd like to do a lot of that, so I'm interested in, what your feelings would be
And
if I
think-
come back in a month
and-
from now.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason that as if you do continue to do this, I just think that aesthetically for the existing structures that are in Guthrie, that if you were building homes that had, a front door and a front porch with a garage that was recessed a little bit, they would continue to look like a lot of the homes in Guthrie, but with with a garage to the side and recessed a little.
Okay.
I guess I was just wondering on setback, will the driveway be of sufficient length to say at least stack 2 cars? Because what we're, trying to do is not have cars all over the lawns and things, which you're seeing an awful lot of. How does that set on that particular lot? I haven't
Well,
seen the
that's,
plat.
usually you're using the building lines that are established. The house, the lot that we're talking about has houses on either side that are out front of probably what you're suggesting. So it can be recessed some. A lot of the problem that you run into is you've got 100-year-old trees that are.
And you do have a large one, right?
Yeah, there looks
Yeah.
like there's a tree right in the middle of where you want.
Yeah, well, it's not in the middle, but it's right behind the garage. That's part of the reason for not pushing it back. But that can be done. I can redraw that.
Is the garage, does the garage go all the way to the back of the house in this
No.
plan?
No,
Okay.
it's 21 feet.
And of course, it'll be on the left side as versus this picture, where I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Looks like the
Yeah,
driveway.
reverse plan.
We've got a reverse elevation.
Yeah, which shows on the plot plan. And then there's an existing driveway there also. I would like to get your feelings on rear entry coming in from the alley.
Oh, no, that would be great.
Well, the only problem I've had there is sometimes I can't get the street people. They don't kind of want to
I don't know.
go with that.
Jim, the street people, the street municipal services doesn't really help with alleys anymore, do they? It's sort of, isn't it the responsibility of the homeowner?
Property owners.
Yeah.
So I could have a rear entry
Yeah,
without,
if you wanted to, and I drove down that alley today, actually, and it's not that bad. I mean, if it was gravelled up to, your lot, then you could have a rear access and you
I
wouldn't,
would prefer to do that.
then you wouldn't have a garage on the front of the house and you'd have a really great looking
Well,
home.
it'd be another, it could be a window or box window or some other treatment.
And,
front
since,
side of it.
since you have done several of those, and I'm not for sure, but I saw one today that's on a corner lot. And since part of the design standards are that when possible, the garage shouldn't be visible from the street, if you're on a corner, you might consider having the garage around the corner from the front of the house, because you'd have access from both streets.
Well, I tried that on that house. I didn't want to do it that way because of the incline of the driveway coming up is too steep. I really wanted to come in the back, but I couldn't get the street people to
Right, work with.
communicate.
Right.
And so it didn't get done.
Well, if you could come in from the back, yeah, that would be great.
Now, I'd probably have to reverse the plan because of that tree. And from lot to lot, as you do different things, those kind of things enter in. I don't like tearing
Well,
down
I think
trees.
that
if don't
I think
have
that needs to be your decision. As long as you're with the setbacks, what's already
Okay.
set for the city, then
Yeah,
I don't see a
then we can
problem.
go ahead
And I would go ahead and push the garage back 2 feet anyway. I kind of like that, so I already thought of that some.
So the house part of the building is like I said, I think it was Renee that used to say, neighborhoods should look like a place where people live, not garages. And most of, historical Guthrie is built that way. I mean, you don't drive up the streets and see garages, you see front porches, and so.
The only thing that I'm sure if you drove the neighborhood, you can see that almost everybody's doing garage conversions. From my standpoint, I've built in this neighborhood before and didn't put a garage on there and would put 1,200 feet into living space instead of 1,000 feet and a 200-car garage.
Converted.
Yeah, because they convert.
and-
I mean, I counted more conversions on that
Yeah,
street
and
than I
actually-
counted one-car garages.
I discussed that. Jim, when someone has a garage and they want to convert it to indoor living, do they have to apply for a permit to do that, or how does that work?
Well, yes, they do, because it's probably going to not meet the building codes, especially for electrical placing of electrical outlets and the type of breaker that's on that circuit.
So, but at that point, doesn't it fail to meet the design guidelines?
Well, once again, these design guidelines were workshopped and built for new construction. And so the consideration for like an add-on, it wasn't that pertinent. I mean, if you're the design guidelines also call for, the landscaping ordinance calls for a tree. You're gonna have to plant a tree
Right.
in the front yard.
In addition to the trees that are there.
Well, it's
Yeah.
possible. You need so many points. We'll have to discuss that when you get your permit.
Okay.
But the answer is that it would have to meet code, but not necessarily the.
So if someone built a new home and they built a two-car garage, and then they want to convert the garage to a den, it's no longer new construction. It's not a new home.
No, it's a remodel.
It's a remodel.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't it still have to meet the design guidelines?
Well, as far as what the siding goes, or how would you recess an existing portion of the building? Just to convert it over? You wouldn't have to recess it if it wasn't a garage, right? If they took a garage and they made a family room of it, it wouldn't be a garage. It wouldn't need to be recessed.
It wouldn't be a garage, but the home would still need a two-car garage, according to the.
Well, yeah,
standard.
and like I say, that's meant for new construction. The intent of that is to get cars off the street.
Right.
Because the street parking becomes problematic when there's 2 or 3 cars to a home, and there's nowhere to put them but on the street. So we try to get them up and into a garage
Lawn.
or in the driveway.
I would go along with your motion there, Mr. Commissioner, if you want to do that with that recess note on the garage.
Okay, well, I make a motion to approve with the condition that there is a recess and with a strong recommendation that he try to come in through the alley.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and second. Can we have a vote, please, Ms. Trankey?
Who made the second?
I did.
Vernon.
French,
Yes.
Coffin,
Yes.
Chapel,
Yes.
Ogden,
Yes,
Powell.
Yes.
The application is approved with the modification of a 2-foot setback from the main building line of the front building line, or a rear entry, or both.
Very good.
Thank you.
thank you for your consideration, sir.
Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Item 5 is discussion and possible action on application 2016-20113467 concerning a request to rezone property from C2 to R1. A report, Ms. Trankey?
This application is for the area of South Division, Johnson Drive, just a little bit north of Sooner Road. It's a residential area. I don't think there's anything in the area but residential structures. And somehow or another, it was zoned as part of the South Division zoning as commercial. And it's been the intention for quite a while to get it rezoned to residential from commercial, but for one reason or another, it just
It
never
didn't
did.
happen.
We've been through this one pretty well all the way.
Yes, we have, and
I'll
we've
make a
heard.
motion, we approve that
I
request.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Can we have a vote, please, Ms. Trankey?
Okay. Hang on, you guys are going too fast. Okay. Who made the second?
I did.
Who's aye?
Mr. Chapman?
Joe.
Sorry.
Okay, Ogden,
Yes,
French,
Yes.
Coffin,
Yes.
Chapel,
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Application is approved as submitted.
Last time they applauded.
Oh.
Where's the love?
Item 6, discussion and possible action on application 2015-20113368 concerning a request to rezone property from A2 to R1. Report, please, Mr. Rankin.
This piece of property, I believe, is the Old English property. It's located on South Pine, just north of Industrial, on the west side of the road. It's kindly just right around Rick's Auto Repair. And
Just
We-
before, if you're heading south, right?
north of Rick.
Yeah, it's just before the,
Okay,
the,
right. just
yeah,
north of
if you're heading south, it's just before the shop.
Okay. There's a developer that's going to build a new housing addition there that you're going to see on your next agenda item. And that property, the subject property is currently zoned agricultural. And of course, we're wanting to rezone it as residential, single-family homes.
My question, Mr. Hankey, is of course, the applicants are the same for the next one involving the homes. Is it indeed the northeast quarter of section 16 that you're asking us for the rezoning, or the whole section? That does not seem to
Mr.
be.
Gellenbach, do you mind coming up to the mic?
Do you guys own the whole section? No. Just the quarters?
We own the whole quarter less 250 feet from the south boundary.
Okay. Well, there's the answer.
So
south.
so what we're being asked to approve on this one is, again, as a plat, where the legal description is there, we're saying the northeast quarter of section 16, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's only the northeast quarter, not the section.
It's not the whole quarter.
There's also I think we sent you all, we're doing this in phases, see here?
Right.
Phase 1, 2.
And I think,
What we're asking for release is phase 1 is right,
And I
for
think
right
that's-
now.
Okay, I didn't know if you were asking for the whole 110 acres to be rezoned right now, or just,
one at
Just
a time.
phase 1.
So you will be asking as each phase goes along that those phases be rezoned. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. Especially right now with the way oil prices are going and everything. I think this is something Guthrie really needs. We have a lot of development going in outside of the city limits and nothing in the city limits hardly. And
why wouldn't you rezone the entire property right now?
well, I
If
don't-
you own it all, why not?
Well, the biggest deal, I don't want to rezone it
You don't
all
want to lock
right
yourself in
now.
right now, okay.
I don't want to lock
understand.
myself into developing that whole 100 acres
Okay.
right now. And if I only do phase 1, I have a chance to put a fence and run some cows back there on the back.
Right, there you go, okay.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, thank you, sir.
My question is, you can still run cattle on residential, can't you? Because it's lesser use or not?
No.
No, other way around. Okay,
No, because then
just trying to get there.
splitting lots.
I would entertain a motion.
I would make a motion, but I think it needs to be addendum to Mr. Hankey to note that the applicant is asking only for the area of phase 1, which is not in the application the way we have it written right now. I would make a motion that we accept it with that in there.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Can we have a vote, please, Mr. Rankin?
Chapel,
Yes.
Coffin,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Ogden,
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
The application is approved to rezone from agriculture to residential. As stated, the northeast quarter, this section to be used for phase 1. Thank you.
Item 7 is discussion and possible action on application 2015-20113368 concerning a request to approve the final plat for English Farms.
Actually,
Chairman, I did not see a drainage plan in here, and at this point, I would move to table this until we see a drainage
Okay.
plan.
we have a typo here on the agenda item. It's a preliminary plat, not a final plat.
Okay.
We do have a drainage plan. If you'd like to see it, we have a copy of it.
Well, I'd like time to look at it too, not just here.
That's fine, if y'all want it.
I would still move to table this until the next meeting.
And I think I would add to that, and I'm sure you gentlemen know, that we've got a little additional information here that we would like to have the city's engineers, obviously, they have the expertise to really check all of that we may or may not have, so.
I think the city's engineer approved today the preliminary plat.
Well, we have an
And are
additional
they,
letter here.
and it sounds like what the city's asking, if we feel satisfied to approve the preliminary plat pending the submittal of the Myers Engineering.
I have a
correct?
problem with getting this stuff as we sit down tonight, not getting it ahead of time, and I will not back off of my
Well, and
recommendation.
we have a motion to table.
I have a motion on the table. Call the
Motion's-
question.
Motion's
And-
been made to table.
Well, I second.
Motion to table until the next meeting. Ogden?
Yes, reluctantly, gentlemen, but I hope you understand our position here. I think Commissioner French makes it very clear. And so, yes, I agree.
We'll come back next month anyway for the final, so.
That'd be great, yeah. Okay.
French?
Yes.
Coffin?
Yes.
Chapel?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
This item is tabled until the
Second
March-
Thursday of next month.
March meeting.
March meeting, yeah.
Items 8 is requests for future items of discussion. Hearing none, I'll move to number 9, staff comments.
We have none, sir?
Item 10, commissioner comments. Commissioner French?
Yes, what's the status of getting rid of the debris at Banner School and at Cleveland and Second Street down there?
You caught me kind of off guard and unprepared because I'm just,
We've talked about this on several meetings, but nothing ever seems to happen.
well, I understand that, but I'm just pitch hitting tonight for Cody, but
Okay.
I really don't know the status of those projects.
The-
I'm the brick and mortar guy.
The Banner School that's on litigation, isn't
I
it?
believe it is.
And you haven't heard anything on this building that's falling down over here on Second? If there's any action at all?
No, I
Do you
think
know?
that's kind of standing still because it was obviously ready to demolish by neglect, but it's still,
Sort of self-demolishing.
it is.
It won't be long.
It's demolishing by neglect, but it is a historic resource in a registered historic district. So before you can just tear something down, there's a protocol you go through that's required by SHPO and the National Park Service and the city to try to get a renovation rather than a demolition.
But don't you think it's a hazard, Mr. Hankey, when people park their cars beside it and go to lunch at Katie's? and-
I hear
Kids walk by it?
I hear what you're saying, but it's not my opinion. It's all part of the procedures of the city's historic preservation.
Doesn't it? It just seems like to me it should be fenced off or something.
Something.
It looks really dangerous.
Can we not make a recommendation to the council to do
To
something like that?
fence it off, or, I mean, any kid could, there's nothing to keep kids from going in there at night or walking by that wall that's falling down.
I think if you all gave Cody an email
Okay.
telling him that you think it'd be best, you can rent construction fences, they do it all the time.
Something needs to be
Put it
done.
around there.
Something needs to be done.
It's
yeah.
really dangerous looking.
Mr. Chappell, any other comments?
Nope.
Mr. Ogden?
Oh, I wish I did, but no.
Mr. Coffin?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'd make a motion or table or entertain.
I move we adjourn.
There we go. We are adjourned. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank everyone for coming,
You guys,
too.
everybody.